Hello, everybody. Everybody. Hello. Hi. Pleasure to see you. My name is Offbeat Outlaw, and boy howdy, do we play Dungeons and Dragons out here. Or as we called it last week, Frankenstacks, which is a great way to call this system.
I was about to say, I don't know if I would call this Dungeons and Dragons at this point. Not in a bad way, but just in a factually correct.
For sure.
It's Dungeons and adjacent.
Yeah.
Dungeons and adjacent is good.
Like I said, imagine if we took a Ferrari engine, stuck it in a go-kart, and put it on the streets, baby. Just as many crashes and accidents happen as you'd anticipate. Yippee for me. These are my lovely players. Amelia, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amelia Som. I am playing Aze, the god of time, and also Moonchild. Don't worry about it, Pat.
I'm immediately worried. All right, bet. In that realm, I'm Patrick. I play Feta, the god of last chances, probability, and only being here occasionally.
Oh, am I the god of space yet, or am I still working on that?
We're working to it.
Oh yeah, nothing.
Okay, that's what I was checking.
No.
We added nothing to the list. That's right.
Yes, you did. And where we left off, the party had made a series of what we would like to call interesting decisions. It is
Actually, yeah, the whole party did make interesting decisions.
the only one who didn't was Viari, who was unfortunately just had to bear witness to several horrible decisions.
I was gonna say I didn't, but then I was like, no, my interesting decision was having hot girl tummy problems and not being there.
Yeah. Well, you started out making interesting decisions, and then we followed up on all of them.
That's right.
And we didn't get better.
We were infiltrating the
university.
church? The university.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were in the classroom, and then the doors shut, and that's where I left off.
So, the door's shut, but that's where you left off. Feta, you pop out of the necklace to witness a 90-foot cone-wide cavern that has been opened up thanks to Godfried losing his cool. All of the little alien and enemy creatures are dead. The one that was guiding you around has disintegrated to ash in Godfried's hands, and Aze is nowhere to be seen. Viari is very stressfully pulling at their temples. And at this time, you get a little ping from Alistair.
I feel like I should be surprised, but I'm not.
Hey, Al.
Hey, could you please bring the party back to to Death's Domain? We have A's here for collection, as well as I think we need to regroup, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can...
He gives you a 7th level spell slot to cast Plane Shift.
Alright. We good to go?
Everyone.
Before waiting for an answer, just do it.
And so you are back in the Pantheon. Alistair has gracefully let you guys here into Death's Domain. A's, you waking up from soup prison. Death stands there, informs you that your aspect is not actually in the soup. It never went to the soup, the one that you just lost. It has been taken. And at this time, Feta and the party walks in.
Hey, Ace, how's the soup today? French onion, broccoli cheddar, potato leeks?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you don't seem good.
No, coming to.
A's interfaced with the moon directly. And the moon...
Strangely enough, I've been there on both accounts, maybe.
Not
But I
this
saw
time.
it. I didn't interface with it. So no.
Well, you did interface with it, and remember, it killed you. Thankfully, Biari was there to bring you back. A's had a
That's
bit more
right.
of a direct connection this time. And, well, we can safely say that that aspect is now gone. I've checked the contract, and it is gone. My
But,
guess
like
is
from
that-
existence and entirely.
well, as we've learned, this plane is not behaving correctly. It is simultaneously in my contract and not. Whatever is controlling the moon currently is what is making things not, I guess you could say. So it's not erasing them, it's just removing them from my dominion. And its dominion is not order, it's not chaos, it is a secret third thing, you could say. An insanity, a delirium, and something grander.
Not a secret tool that'll help us later. Got it.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
We believe this
So-
aspect is going to be calling itself the Vassal. So be prepared for when you encounter it again. As it is still technically you and alive at the same time, you are going to be experiencing visions as well as double thoughts. Do you think you'll be able to handle that?
Yeah.
Alistair
Yeah.
looks at you and go with a. Okay. If you start feeling like your will is not your own, please immediately come back to me. We can hopefully get a reset on this. But if it tries to talk to you, keep it talking. It's probably going to try. It thinks it's you after all. It thinks it is you and therefore you are it. But I must remind you it isn't.
Right.
Anyway, I've called this emergency meeting because A's is down to one aspect and I am not losing the god of time. So, I hereby decree that you two are going into the soup to go and fetch A's aspect that was lost a little while ago.
Got it.
Feda, you're familiar with the process.
Yeah, that I am.
You're going to need to be A's guide of sorts. Everyone's retrieval is different. It is a manifestation of the mistakes that led to its death, and its regrets and the choices that it made. So be prepared for... the word that I've been told to use is ironic situations.
Yeah, that feels right.
Rain on a wedding day.
With that said, though, I'm going to go talk to Viari and Gottfried about their little altercation. Figure out if Gottfried's brain is still intact, or if I need to re-mush it. And he leaves.
I want is A still in the soup, or has A's gotten out of the soup by the time Feta comes?
You're still like sitting in the pot. You are welcome
Yeah.
to leave the pot at your leisure.
I mean, room for one more, because we gotta go in there anyway.
Yeah.
At this time, Death perks up and goes, "Oh, I have to prepare you. You must be seasoned."
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I actually haven't done this before.
That's
yet.
weird.
I
Yeah,
do
it's
need you
weird.
to
There's
get out of
nothing.
I do
Oh,
need to get you out of the soup. Sorry, you're affecting the flavor.
Yeah, A's steps up and gets out of the soup, and Feta, you know that little rune thing that I asked you to hold on to for me?
Mm-hmm.
You see it's like kind of attached to like A's belt.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening?
motions to the rune.
Oh, what a curious little device you've got there. Did you make that?
No, I gave it to Theta.
Huh.
Do you want to give it to me again?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't like this face. This face is telling me that you didn't pull a fast one on me. You didn't realize that you did it. That's more concerning.
I mean, I didn't take it, and I died, and now I have it again. I hand it out to you.
That's worse somehow.
As you hold it, Fada, an image flashes in your mind. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oof, that is a 19 with a 6 and a 2
So that
on
is
the die.
That is going to be a 27. You succeed on the save. You get the vision, and you're able to parse it. You see someone that looks like A's, but not quite like A's. Perhaps their stature and the way they walk, but you see their right arm is no longer an arm, but in fact a long, distended tentacle, thorned with the barbs throughout. Almost like somebody took an octopus and jammed railroad spikes through it in a twisting, spirally pattern. You see this entity walking in a grayed out box. Dead versions of the anemone creatures on the ground. And you see it looking through this grayed out box as it grips on a door handle. The door unlocks. Pushes open the door. And as it takes its step out, the vision ends.
What kind of door was it?
It looked to be kind of almost like a school door, like heavy, locking.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. It was gray, not very descript, but it just looked like a heavy set door with a single lock.
More specifically, didn't look like the door to A's domain, did it?
No.
Okay. Oh, fuck.
Hmm?
Well, I guess I just confirmed what Alistair was talking about. You do have a doppelganger out there. And I just saw it.
Right?
No. Yeah, your aspect. Which one was it?
The past. Wait, no. The present.
Oh. Okay. I can't tell if that's better or worse than the alternative.
Well, it's... Yeah. No, I sort of felt it separate when I died.
I didn't realize our aspects could be taken from us.
They can't, typically. Alistair said that this... Essentially what happened is, I was trying to encode thoughts again. Probably wasn't the best idea, and it overcame me. And then Viari tried to banish the tentacle creature, and it banished itself with me here. And I was trying to get away. I might have lashed out at Alistair, and he pinned me in place, and then I wished for the moon to get me out of there. And it pulled me out of everything. It entirely severed me from Alistair, which
Made
I didn't
reality.
realize was... Yeah, and then it sort of asked if I wanted to just surrender to it, and I did.
Why?
I don't know, I don't really know how to describe the feeling.
It wasn't a conscious choice then. An influenced decision. Misinformed.
I think so.
I think what's
It's
fair
really-
to say is that this entity's influence is that of information. What would you do if you were offered every answer you've ever asked? I'd probably say yes. I'd probably say
I
more
think
than
I'd go
yes.
mad.
And I did get them, and then
They were taken
As-
back.
well, I ended up here.
Right.
Effectively, consider it a way of cheating your end of the bargain as a mortal. You see, this is why you aspects are called the mortal gods, a little fun hypocrisy. You're mortal, but when you die, you come back. Functional immortality. A little hypocrisy. You paid the price for the entire information you asked. You got your answers. The price was your life. But you managed to get out. Thus, the price was paid and you got what you wanted, but without having to pay for it.
Except this moon entity thing now has one of your aspects
Think of it less
and
as
full
the aspect.
control of it.
Think of it less of having control of the aspect, but more of the flesh. The aspect is a
'Cause-
spiritual thing.
Right.
Dominion. The aspect is the contract. It doesn't have control of that. It has control of Aze's immortal body. Imagine if you took a car. You guys know of cars, right? You've seen those yet? Imagine if you took a car.
Yes.
And you removed the battery. And you just had the
Right.
battery.
Okay.
The battery is Ace's body. Slot that into anything you like. It's a conduit for power.
Why wouldn't you use the metaphor of the car is the body and it's like you swapped in a different battery?
Well, the
The
car's
battery is the aspect.
Well, I like my
Couldn't make
metaphor
more
better.
sense?
That's why.
Yeah. Yeah, things happened pretty quickly last time, and the time between me realizing that the entity behind the moon needed a divine host, and the time that I gave myself to it freely was about a few minutes.
That's an eternity for you?
Well, it's an eternity for me. It's just not enough time to really communicate it to everybody else. There was a lot of things
fair.
going on.
That's fair. Look, semantics aside, what happened happened. Hopefully we learn from this. And we go get your other aspect back. Any fun roadblocks I might be expecting along the way?
Not that I know of.
Speaking of Al's irony.
Soup is done. All right. You
Do
see
we just
Death
go in?
pour Oh, no. Don't jump in this one. This will kill you. You need to drink it. Imbibe the soup. You see Death hold up a bowl of soup to each of you. Take a sip.
I had such a perfect streak.
It's not that bad.
Yeah. I imbibe the soup.
Slanja.
Slancha.
As you drink the soup, you feel it
Gross.
slowly replacing your blood as your body slumps slowly to the floor.
This happens when I eat a lot of good ramen too.
Dude, real. As you go to, it doesn't feel bad though. It doesn't feel aggressive. Thank you, my love. Doesn't feel aggressive or like distasteful or bad. It just feels warm, soothing, but you feel yourself fading. And slowly but surely you are completely gone. Your mind is transferred to the soup. And you fly through the soup, through all of its ingredients, past mushrooms and onions and leeks, other bodies, other souls. And you arrive at the junction at the bottom, where the collection of all the bits that sink to its deepest chunks. I need you to make a survival check. And Feda, you also must make the survival check.
Aye. Is there any possible way I could make it with advantage because I've done this before? And I'm
Sure,
not going after my
you're
own
familiar. You're familiar with what you need to do and with what you need to think about.
Sweet. Oh, I might not need it. Nat 20, 3 and a 6, 29.
6. I'm still recovering from my whole ego death situation. I got a lot on my mind.
I love you.
As you look through this through the soup, you have no fucking clue what to do. Everything is mixing together.
I've never died before.
You feel
It's a weird experience.
you feel the stream of soup swirling you in and swirling you in, the rhythmic churning of the ladle to get all the flavors. You feel yourself drifting ever so slightly. You lose 4 max HP as part of you just gets lost in the soup. You won't really ever find that part of you again. You might not even know what that part is. A childhood memory from thousands of years ago. Thank you. Something different, something more. You'll never know. But it's gone.
I'm having a rough time here, gang.
As you lose it, though, Feda, you know what to do. Concentrate on who you are. Focus on who you are, what you need to find. And what you need to find is A's, and find A's you do. As you get to them, you see their form kind of almost like a dissolved block of jelly. The edges just no longer corporeal. Their center nice and firm, but not really. It's entirely opaque.
Oh, that's a little lost in the sauce there. Okay, all right. Let's see what we can do.
How would you like to reach out to A's?
So this other part of A's, do I see it flying by at all, or is it just?
You need to first find A's. All you can see right now is A's and soup.
Gotcha. Is
Brown water.
the goopiness?
How would you like to try and reconstitute A's? Congeal them, if you will.
I think
Add cornstarch.
Right. I'll make. You know what? I'll make oobleck. No.
Okay, first you make a roux.
All right. Let's see. A's would appreciate being a non-Newtonian solid.
Ace would.
I think the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start focusing on lots of little memories of A's, their when their stoicism breaks and their own like individuality and personality shines through, when I like moments where they've gotten frustrated, where everybody's been laughing together, things that aren't necessarily super specific, like general emotions and like the way that our friendship feels to Feta.
Make a flat charisma check and spend a first level spell slot, please.
You got it.
Calorie.
Calorie.
Flat charisma, add my modifier?
Yeah, add your modifier.
Okay, cool.
Just like a d20 plus your modifier, that's it. No specific check. So
Yeah, I gotcha. So that's just 2. Total of 24.
Your will empowers the soup around you with the thoughts of A's, and in this world where everything is connected to each other and thoughts and memories are flavors, you manage to send the flavors of A's to A's, who then feels the flavors, tastes the flavors, remembers the memories, and
Feel the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
and feel yourself reconstituting back into that solid with no memory of what was lost at the time. A's, you're now in the soup. Staring across from Feta. Solid. Again.
Only the soup bender, master of all 11 herbs and spices. Hey. How you feeling?
I feel all over the place. I mean, less so now, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd say you get used to it, but you never really do. You just get better at it.
Yeah. So what do we do now?
Well, it's partially up to you. You're looking for your aspect. You need to focus on the things that part of yourself was or is still. What parts of you helped form that aspect into its own unique being?
Okay. Well, that will be the future.
Incredibly vague.
Yeah. So,
Your
I guess.
future, our future, everyone's future. The control that you have over it and the ability to let it go when necessary. Start there.
okay. Yeah, so I think A's just sort of starts thinking about the future. I think thinking about like the moment that they died in that form, which was, I think, the ignition fight, yeah?
Yes.
And just kind of having the mindset of what they thought would happen after they died in that fight. And now that future has become the past, and thinking about the sort of divergence between all the potentials that could have been and the one that we landed on. And then A's is thinking about the future now. It kind of always like slingshots back and forth between the pages in the books, you know, with C's dead body and their visions that they've gotten from Fate about what happens toward the end, and the showdown with Alistair. And then it slingshots back to like the near future of what Ace thinks we need to do on Fishhook, and the the war and trying to end the night and going after the church or wiping out the rest of the library, and then slingshotting back to the end of days as they're trying to rewrite the contract, trying to figure out where power is, looking at the stars, looking at the mushrooms. And then in like half of these visions, Ace can't stop seeing the moon appear just there.
So it sounds like this is a very intellectual exploration. Would you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Please make an intelligence check for me.
My intelligence is really good now for some reason.
Oh my goodness, I wonder why. Did this universe get revealed to you in a weird in a weird bargain with the moon?
Yeah, something like that. I did not roll very well though. So that's only a 14.
Even with your d6s?
Oh, fuck. I forgot to add any modifier. I just did the number, not the d6 thing. That's worse. That's 9. So it's 2d6.
Are you doing all of this digital, or do you have a physical dice you can throw in the garbage?
It's digital.
God damn.
Reload the page, reset your algorithm.
Yeah, so you,
Yeah.
So you do get that 9 though.
Can I?
And you?
Did you re-roll the 14?
No,
Oh,
see,
okay.
I rolled a 7 on the dice, and then I just added the fixed plus 7, and then I was like, oh, right, it's 2d6, and then I rolled 2 1s on the d6s.
Right.
So I'm just
My
going to
God.
refresh the page.
Yeah.
I will allow one reroll just to get it of just a pure reset of a d20 and 2d6, whatever you get with that.
Okay, so that was a natural 20 for a total of 31.
Stats. That's why we use stack stats. Okay, gotta do it
Yeah.
right from the get-go. So
Yeah,
do
you have
that.
to put the intention of the stacks into the d20 when you roll it.
Exactly. Otherwise, it doesn't know what it's doing.
It doesn't know what it's doing.
Because the d20 doesn't matter as much here, So you think
Yeah.
about it. You think about.
The difference between the 20 and the 7, I think, mattered a lot. The difference between a 5 and a 6 and double ones also mattered a
Yeah,
lot.
that was a big difference. A big jump, even. You think about your journey thus far, and you go through what that future means, and you're clever, you're smart, and you intellectualize everything. In fact, it's been a long time since you felt something. Only time you feel things is when Z's gets involved, honestly. Frankly. So when you arrive at this intellectualized moment, you arrive at the moment of when you lost your aspect. Trapped in a force cage as it goes down with your 1 hit point. And it's frozen in that moment. Beside you walks you. The version that is trapped in there and now also standing beside you turns to you and goes, I've been stuck here ever since. Trapped in right here. When we lost. Why do you think we died?
Because we knew that if we lived, we would have to retreat, and that even if we died, the others could handle it. They'd be able to finish off at least enough to make sure they didn't die, and that we wouldn't entirely lose our advantage in the world and in our mission.
You realize that we view ourselves as a pawn, right?
Yeah.
What chess piece do you think we are? Actually.
Well, I'd like to be a pawn because at least if we could get to the end of the board, that would mean something.
We aren't a pawn. I don't care what you would like to be. That is a pawn play for a piece that is too valuable to be lost at that moment. Because this moment isn't where we lost. You thought about the future. You thought about the moment, but you do not think about what moment led to our death. Let us look when you treated yourself as a pawn, treated yourself as a pawn. You see the replay go back, the moment, the door, with the curse on it, that you willingly touched, knowing it was cursed. Why did you make this choice? This is where you killed us. Why did you choose to die here?
It looked like a Beatrice curse. We haven't had good luck trying to disarm those. And I have specific skills. I am good in combat, but the others I think would be more suited. And I cannot ask any of them to put themselves in that situation. And I thought, since I've already received numerous curses from Beatrice, and I think part of her enjoys lording these over me, not maybe actively, but just passively, I didn't want anyone else to be compromised.
So you viewed yourself as the piece most fitting for the sacrifice.
It worked.
But what future could have been past this door should we done something else? Do you know that future?
Do you?
I know there's one where I don't die. And where we all win anyway.
You made that choice as well as I.
I did. But what I'm telling you is that when we made that choice, we made a mistake. We have a mistake in us. We aren't the pawn of this team. We are the queen. We can maneuver everybody to the position they need to win. The queen's purpose isn't to take, it's to cover. It's to barricade. It's to lock down the board. It's to ensure that every mistake made by the opponent is capitalized. Godfried is our knight. He takes and kills. Viari's the bishop. You are the queen. Feda is our rook. He guards our back line. What piece does that leave? Because we are not pawns. We do not cross the board because we die before we get there. Choose to be the queen. Tell me you'll choose to be the queen. We're not fit to sacrifice anymore.
I know. And I don't know why I keep trying to throw myself away.
I think that's better. I'd rather not know why than intellectualize that it was the best choice.
You know, the most recent time I died, I knew it was going to happen. And instead of trying to talk my way out of the encode thoughts, I knew it wouldn't work. I knew I barely got away last time. I knew I could have just told Viari that, and we probably would have done something else. But I went for it. And I don't really know what to think now.
Whatever you think, whatever we end up thinking, we just need to remember what we are. There will be a time when we need to go, when sacrifices and choices get made. And maybe there's a time when a pawn will cross the board. But you don't sacrifice your queen at the first impasse. It doesn't advance the board. It just puts us at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I think I can return to you now.
Thought I was gonna have to, I don't know, fight some sort of psychic monster or something.
Some people do. Depends on how they died.
We really have no idea what we're doing, right?
Of course we don't. We've never known what we're doing. We just helped Z's, followed in his wake, cleaned up the mess that washed ashore.
You know, I didn't ever feel out of my element until I was severed. Never felt dwarfed by power or the gods, the contract, the prospect of rewriting the universe.
Well, it sounds like you know more about what's going on than I do.
I mean, it's been a while.
I'm sure I've got a lot of catching up to do. Ready to get out of the soup?
Yeah.
You see yourself open their arms, and they give you a hug. And it feels nice. Feels warm. Reminds you of the times that you've hugged Z's over the years. But you realize that you didn't necessarily give yourself enough hugs.
Yeah, I think Ace is crying. Probably both of them. Not like sobbing, but just tears.
There's perfect cinema tears. And as you hold, you begin to reconstitute. You two become a single person once again. As you feel that part of you that you had thrown away comes back. And then there's a bubbling and a rumbling and a tumbling as the soup begins to boil and bubble, and you two are both, as well as Fada, blasted out of the soup at Mach 10 as it splatters everywhere and on the floor.
Is that how this always ends?
Fada, you're muted.
No, it's not.
Successful soup. Good
Shot
job.
out of the soup like a cannon the last time.
You what?
I was not shot out of the soup like a cannon.
What was your soup experience like?
I don't know. What was yours? Are you okay? You're crying.
I'm not crying.
If Viari was here, she would open her book and show you that sentence right now.
Just,
You're right.
you know.
Besides that mild concussion from hitting the ceiling at
Yeah.
Mach 10. Yeah.
Yes, no, I just talked with myself. Was that what you did when you went into the soup?
After a fashion, yeah.
I feel like, I mean, the death is one thing. I feel like all of this moon stuff and the death is just really,
A lot.
yeah, having a little bit of an identity crisis.
Don't know what that's like. Don't know what you're talking about at all.
If you want to talk to a therapist about it, I hear Bloodshed is taking double duty today.
She's actually very good at it, and the cookies are fucking fantastic. I highly recommend on all accounts. That being said,
She can also make you worse if you want. I hear that she's offering that service now.
Making you worse? What does that mean? Like,
You don't want to get better.
is it like
you want-
anti-therapy?
Yes, anti-therapy. She's offering that now.
Isn't that just kink?
No. Because it's not safe.
I mean, I feel like I could just make myself worse on my own.
I feel like we do a lot of that. But
You're having an
confronting
identity crisis and you're struggling because it seems like you've got multiple personalities or entities influencing you. Bloodshed's not a bad person to talk to.
I mean, do you want to go talk to Bloodshed, Fada?
I'd be down for a sit down.
Okay.
Group therapy might be useful at the moment.
Yeah.
To be honest,
It's been a long time since it's just been the two of us, too. I mean, and plus Bloodshed will be there, but you know.
I know. But yeah. I was thinking about that when I was reconstituting you with the soup, not oobleck.
Yeah.
I don't know, you and I think the last time that we spent time just the two of us, things were rather tense on my end. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Don't be.
Well, you guys can make up in an office that is prepared for it with tissues. The only thing I can offer you here is napkins. They're rough. Skedaddle,
that's-
I've got soup to make. You ruin
Yeah.
every
Alright,
time you
you-
retrieve a aspect, it ruins the flavor profile. Fada, you need to wash your boots.
Okay, will do.
They're musty.
Uh,
They're musty, darling.
full leather treatment, like hydration and polish and all that.
You
I
might be-
prestidigitate them.
Thank you. Now put some soap in there because your feet are stinky too. Get out of my office.
That's the story of my life.
They say you guys are going to Bloodshed?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a weird fucking guy, man. Like, I like him well enough. Weird fucking dude.
Yeah.
I
love the vibes though. I really like it. I
vibes
just
are
like
good. The vibes are like very core, but like in a good way.
yeah.
Like judgy Italian grandmother kind of dude.
Yeah.
Like you go to death and he's like, oh, you haven't been eating enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
You guys head to Bloodshed's office. Yeah?
Oh, I totally forgot. I get an extra secondary dice on all rolls. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, you do. You get to Bloodshed's office. And you arrive.
Sorry, I was just looking over my thing.
You knock on the door. Bloodshed welcomes you in with baggies of cookies each. And as you get to their office proper, they unstab their hair, stab their knife into their desk as it slowly drips blood out onto the floor, into a bucket that they collect. And they sit down across from you, pull out a notebook and pen, and go, "So, what's troubling you? Is this both of you, or is it just the one of you today?"
I mean separate things, but
Yeah, we could take turns.
yeah.
Take time. Beautiful, excellent.
Sure.
Let's start with eeny, meeny, miny, Ace. You go first.
Oh, right. So I don't know if you heard. I don't know how much news travels.
She pulls out a stack of pamphlets notarized from Alistair with important alert. Please read. Don't worry.
Dated a minute ago.
Yeah, make sure. She like flaps them
Yeah.
and tosses them behind her shoulder.
Right. Yeah, so okay, so mostly that. I think I've kind of talked with my future aspect about, the desire for self-sacrifice, which is a bit
Classic.
self-destructive, and even though okay, fine. Never mind.
No.
Are you seriously saying never mind in a therapist's office? Do you expect that to
Yeah,
go over
no.
well?
Keep going.
What was that thought? Talk about your self-sacrifice.
Well, it's just, okay. Anytime the four of us are in a situation, I feel like the top priority should be making sure Viari, who has the closest line to Alistair, is not compromised.
Untrue. Why do you
I mean,
think that?
closest personal time, maybe.
She has a lot of information, sure. And of course, if she gets kidnapped, that's a problem. But so it is for everybody at this point. If you get kidnapped, Ace, every understanding of time and space is all of a sudden within enemy hands.
I guess that's true. I guess I just always figured other people would really know how to do it as well as I do.
Always remember, Beatrice, unfortunately, despite her planning skills, is smart enough to figure things out. It's kind of how aspects work and domains work. Once they're taken, you understand them. Once you have them, they're yours. As if they've never been owned by anyone else. Everyone here is valuable. Everyone has a part to play. Of course Viari's got a part, and of course Viari has got a line to Alistair. But all that means is that she has some extra red tape behind her death.
Point taken. So,
She marks a tally on her notepad for herself.
the things I tell you, do you tell them to Alistair?
No, entirely confidential.
Right. Okay, so I recently sacrificed my entire sense of self to an eldritch creature on par with Alistair in terms of power.
That was in one of the possibilities in the pamphlet. So we're on possibility D13. Good to know.
And I know I was influenced in the decision. I've been charmed before, rarely. But this just... It felt different, yeah.
Would you say it was more like your desires themselves had changed, or was it more playing off of a desire you already had?
I think both.
Well, that's a dangerous combination.
Might I offer a perspective as somebody who, not to the degree that you did, who has also encountered this entity? When that thing looks at you, when its focus is entirely on you, there's this bizarre feeling that you're the center of the universe, that it is the center of everything. And paradoxically, that can sometimes feel like it's part of you. That what it wants, you want, and have always wanted.
I think that's almost because it can give you those things.
Yeah.
Sounds like it anyway. Sounds like it's on the par of Alistair. And if Alistair had
It
more
exacts a
wins,
price.
if Alistair was easier to manipulate, we'd all get what we want.
But it's not that exactly. Because it almost imparts new desires. It brings those curiosities, those what ifs, those wants
I mean, if you teach an ant
to their
how
greatest
to pay,
heights.
if you teach an ant how to work at a grocery store, it's going to start wanting to make money.
Right. But
It's going to forget all about being a little ant. Why would it
those
wanna-
become overpowering, right?
Yeah, why would you
And
want to be an
it's-
ant if you could be a person? Something
Right.
different, something bigger, something with more ideals and goals than a stupid little ant. An ant is designed to die at some point later and not really and work until it's dead. Or you could be a person who gets to have a purpose.
Right.
I'm more speaking about the metaphorical transition between an ant and a person. What's that difference in perspective gives? I think that's
Yeah.
what this thing seems to be offering as you're describing it. A different perspective that is higher than one that you currently have. That is on the same level of an elevation from insect to human.
Theta, you're connected to the mycelium network. Is this what you're referring to?
Yes, in somewhat a way. I've also interacted with the moon entity briefly, and was through potentially that connection with the mycelium, with Mikey, able to resist and able to take myself out of that moment. But the things that I felt for just a moment, it was if I had skipped lunch one moment, and as if I had never eaten the next. As if I had never known what food tasted like, and I just so desperately wanted it. I don't... You said you gave it to yourself to it freely.
What did it offer?
But what does freely mean? in that context. One doesn't give themselves freely when they're dying of thirst in the desert to somebody offering water. Now, there's conditions there.
It offered me everything. Comprehension beyond understanding. It was as if my mind was taken out of me and melded with knowledge in a way that I don't know how to describe.
Do you still have that knowledge?
No. And I miss it. And even now, being severed, I still feel it. I still feel a connection.
Well, this is interesting. I don't need to therapize you. I need to study you. You see Bloodshed re-tie back up their hair bun. They throw on a lab coat.
God damn it.
Yeah. When
They sit back down in their chair, but now they have a test tube that they're twirling in their hand.
Yeah, that's how science.
Yes.
Clear marks of science. When that thing, the tentacles, the scarf, the thoughts, when it attached to me, it wasn't just in my mind, it was fixated in my soul at the very core of my being.
That would explain why when Viari banished it banished you. It was you. It was just an extension at that point. If it interfaces
Process had
directly
already
with your
done.
soul, banishment targets souls. Doesn't necessarily target creatures.
Right. It became a part of me, and I became a part of it. And I'm in full control of my faculties. I understand the risks, I understand the mission, and I have no desire to throw it all away or put any of you in danger. But I do miss that. I think for so long, I've just been focused on me and Z's, and then mission after mission, and then, sure, the concepts of rewriting the universe, but mostly the practicality, mostly of solving every puzzle that needs to be solved, of expanding my domain and power, because I just wanted to, and I felt that I could, and I know I could do it better than others. But now I'm just, for a brief moment, it's just none of that mattered as much. Just, I mean, you speak of wanting, skipping lunch and then never having eaten. It felt more like never needing to eat, knowing that I would just be a part of something. I didn't even feel afraid to die. I knew that it would sacrifice me.
Right.
I knew what that meant.
But you didn't care in the moment.
The pros outweighed the cons in the moment.
I'm gonna go get someone else in here, if that's alright. Because this
Yeah.
isn't a therapy issue anymore.
No.
This is a magical problem. And for magical problems, we need magical questions, I guess. I'll be back.
I do have one more question before we go fully out of therapist mode, if by the way.
Yeah, what's up?
Was more. Is it? Is it fair to say that that's a distorted worldview? That what you were experiencing then and what you're experiencing now, with like missing that knowledge, craving it almost, that's it's not true to reality. It doesn't hold sync with what's actually going on.
I don't think so.
Well, it's not true to maybe this reality. But
I think
But if
the
gaining
exact
that knowledge
problem is
kills
that
you.
it's not a delusion. It's true. It's real.
Right.
I think, A's, in that moment, you did have everything you wanted. And I think it's also no longer yours. As far as I'm concerned, you got shafted out of a pretty good deal. You did have
Either
that.
that.
It's not a delusion to seek it, either. I will tack that with a little addendum that says obsession is a problem for gods.
That's where I was kind of going.
I don't think it's
Because
delusional or deluded or insane or out of scope. I just think that... Well, I'm gonna go get someone with more understanding of symbols. I think Fate might be interested in hearing about this. Let's go. Bloodshed leaves their office for a brief moment, and in an even briefer moment, they are back. With Fate. We've never seen Fate outside their domain. They don't like to leave. In fact, none of the other gods really know what they look like. In this moment, you see Fate being represented here as a tarot deck placed on the table. Fate is just gonna call in a sense. You see Bloodshed wheel out a little tablet, and they read this. They read the instructions out loud. You hear them mumbling to themselves as they shuffle the deck, and as they flip a card, they slam it on the table. They see death. The tarot of change. And as you do see this, A's, Feta, you are once again mad transported to somewhere else.
Be back in the soup room.
No, not back in the soup.
Okay.
You see, you are now floating through space. Constellations and clouds. You hear a voice almost comically deep. I am Fate. A's, you know this is a bit...
A stifles a laugh.
Okay.
You comes. Wait, is that A's? Hi, A's. I've been
Hi.
planting a lot with the garden.
Oh,
Oh, this is.
No, shut up.
Wait, haven't I met Fate or?
No.
No.
Anyway, this is your futures. And you see as the sky...
tracks. I just got future back, so.
It's not that I appreciate. It's not that I don't appreciate the dramatics. It's just a curious choice.
I have an image to
Anyway.
keep up.
I hit Feta a little
For
bit.
me to judge.
You see
I
the
don't do the
stars twirl and spin and whisk around, and you see the stars, a hand reach out from behind them and grip the scenery. A thorny, tentacled hand. And in this moment, everything stands entirely still. And it peels, cracks the sky. And the sky bleeds a deep shade of red as an eye peeks through and looks right at you, Ace. And you see stepping out from the pupil is you, the vassal of the moon. It's impossibly far away in the distance, but it seems almost entirely present, focused, punched in on this moment. Do you seek further knowledge? Oh, my twin.
You don't need it, Ace.
Fate?
Fate is silent. My twin. My guiding light. I know what you seek. Fada, don't look so glum. There's room for two in the heavens.
I've already got enough voices in my head. Thanks. What do you want? So keen on asking us. What do you want?
Presence. Dominion. Too small for you to think of. If I wanted to communicate it, it would not land purchase.
I've got an entire neural network of mushrooms going on up here. Try me.
Okay. Come closer. Words are not complicated enough for what I seek.
I'm not asking for anything. This is not a deal being made. This is not a,
No
this
deal,
is me just
no trade.
asking to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I cautiously approach. I'm going to look at A's and just,
You see one
if
of its
shit goes wrong, pull me back.
You see a finger reach out. And even though they are miles away, the finger reaches out and it touches your forehead. And I need you
Before
to make
it
an
does-
intelligence save.
Before it does, I'm going to mentally connect myself with the entire mycelium network that is currently in the void within my realm. I'm going to open that connection and just be like, guys, we might have a lot of information coming. Might need you to help process it.
Okay.
Just be my
Get
backup
ready.
brain. Yeah, exactly.
Give yourself an extra 2d6 then on this intelligence save.
Got you. Love that. Big fans. All right, let's see what we got. 36.
The
17 on the die, 2 6s.
beams into
No ones.
your head, and you feel the mycelium network rush to devour it. They grow rapidly, restructuring themselves and their little network almost as a second entire brain. But not a brain. This thinks much stronger than a brain. Its connections deeper, all wired together in order to process the magnitude of the information that you were being given.
They're still maintained within the void, though.
They
right?
are still maintained in the void. Think of it more
Cool.
like you
Double
outsourced the processing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was planning. No, that's
You
like
uploaded it
legit.
to the cloud and then they processed it and sent it back?
Yeah, it's a supercomputer.
Yeah.
A neural net processor.
They work tirelessly to do this. and you bear the brunt of it, only taking significantly less psychic damage than otherwise. And I've dropped a dice, so I'll never find it again.
Oh no! Well, please don't say it's a D4.
It's a D6, so we're fine.
Okay, it's not quite a caltrop.
We have caltrops at home.
The caltrops at home.
15 whole damage of psychic to your dome.
Okay, that's certainly doable.
And you realize that what it seeks, it genuinely doesn't quite make sense despite you processing it. It doesn't just seek dominion or control or like power in the traditional sense. It doesn't want to rule things
Right.
because it thinks it can do it better. It just deserves to be there. It deserves to be in that space, and if the result of it being there is that it has to do a job, it will do it. But it deserves its place in the sky, and it deserves to be there. It's not seeking the power and control. It just knows that it must be where it's supposed to. And at the end of the day, the resultant of that is what's happening.
That word specifically, deserves.
It deserves it.
Well, that's terrifying. Anybody who thinks they deserve something is
But as you're processing
very
the
high opinion of
information,
themselves.
you think about the things that you deserve. Food, water. It's that same feeling. That borderline right. It's not doing this out of a delusion. This is genuinely what it must do. At
It's
least
a
to-
means to survive.
Not even a means. It's not even about survival.
Is
It's
it like
just
a prerequisite of existence?
a prerequisite of what it is requires that
Yeah.
it must be there. Must be where it is doing what it does.
What the fuck are you? And where did you come from?
For now, it is best if I say I am an extrapolation of A's and the moon. Think not too much, accept what is. It's easier on the surface to fight.
Yeah, I've generally find that blind acceptance is a great way to pave the road to ruin. Or at least apostasy.
But A's, you'd need not give up my gift. Do you like the runes? Do you like what they reveal in the night?
I am going to feel for the rune and grip it tight.
It ain't there.
Fuck!
It's in A's hands.
Son of a bitch!
Look at the runes, A's. You don't need to be afraid of knowledge.
Ace, I don't know what you talked about with yourself in the soup. But I think if there were ever time to take whatever those words were to heart, it'd be now.
A's is gripping this. I don't know what this is called. In my brain, it's just like a weird, like, circular abacus thing. I know it's not an abacus, but
You may call it the rune caster.
yeah, the rune caster. A's is gripping the rune caster with white knuckles and is looking at you, Feta, and not looking down at it. have a duty, I say, and I look at the other me.
You do. And what of your duty if you do not understand your adversary? Because that is what I am, correct? At this point. Understand me, Ace. Remember, you're not on the board at all, are you, Ace? Choose to be behind the board. Don't be the piece. Be the player, Ace.
I think that's a pretty good way to get played.
That's what you do, isn't it? That's how you operate. You give out knowledge with, of course, an exchange in return. And when that exchange is made, usually leading to death, you're satisfied. But if it doesn't, then you've got a loyal follower. You've hooked them.
However you think I operate, if it makes you comfortable, you are allowed to think it.
Okay.
Look at the runecaster, Ace. You know what they mean. Communion, sleep, lake, dream, night, beast, blood, nightmare.
I am gonna roll a d20. And if it's higher than a 10, I don't look at the runecaster. And we'll go from there. If it's beneath a 10, I'll look at the runecaster.
Can I give you bardic inspiration?
No, flat d20.
Flat D20 roll, let's do it!
I am gripping it.
Oh, God damn it. You're not even going to tell us the result. Oh, no.
And I don't want to be apart from you. But I have a duty. And I must see it through.
You feel the runecaster grow hot in your hands, singeing but unable to let go. But you do not look. Fada.
Yeah.
As you're looking at A's, you notice that there's a new rune being added to the caster.
Is there any way I can grab it out of their hand? Like try and wrench
you
it
may
away?
attempt to. Please make an athletics check.
I can test it
You
just on instinct.
Oh, yeah.
You are
yeah, that makes
contesting.
sense.
I am contesting.
Ooh, that's good because I have a 0 to athletics.
Just base athletics? the times. 13.
That's crazy. That's a 36.
You're doing a lot of math. Fuck
As
you.
you try to grip the runecaster, you note that it isn't hot. And you also note that this is not the strength of A's. This is the strength of an entity much bigger than A's.
Yeah, I snatch it away.
It's at least twice their size. As it is holding in their hand. But you look at the rune. And despite not being familiar with the runecaster, its meaning...
Right, because it doesn't affect me in the same way if I don't understand them, right?
Yeah, but the meaning is beamed to you as you look at it, as if the symbol itself means something innate. And you realize that all these symbols innately mean the things that are said. Communion, sleep, lake, dream, night, beast, blood, nightmare, and finally, the rune dead in the center. A rune that links all of them, seems to almost communicate all of these things at once. The rune of the moon. As it's represented as a coin in its center that flips to the back, the dark side and the light side. And in that moment, all of this fades to gas. And it's gone. And fate speaks again. Was your vision commendable?
Mm-hmm.
You sure that was a vision?
Yes.
You didn't feel any other presence?
When I
In the
make
realm.
my visions, I do not control what happens within them. I do not loose the bullet that flies from the gun. Control it, I mean. I do loose it. And with that, we're going to go to break. Thank you all so much for watching the first half of Paperwork Pantheon. We will be back in 15 minutes after a brief interim. Please go get some food, get some water, and drink some liquids. Be right back! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Paperwork Pantheon, episode 76. Boy, howdy, what an episode. We've been here a while, haven't we? We left off. The party just had a very unsettling encounter with a vision, question mark? With the moon, maybe? Either way, the rune caster is now equipped with its final rune. The moon. Supposedly the all-encompassing rune. The one that really matters when you get down to it, you know?
You know, this whole time I kept misremembering that there was a moon rune. I was like thinking, and I was like, how is there not a moon one?
And now there is.
And now there is.
Yeah.
Does it still feel hot in my hands?
No. Feels quite cool to the touch. As you're now back, as you're now still in the vision, conversing with quote-unquote fate.
Mm-hmm.
I will be leaving you now. Please, keep what you learned a secret, as visions need not be shared with those who do not deserve it. Goodbye. And the mist fades away. But not before Fate goes, also you should check out the garden sometime soon. And
I'll come by.
And you're back in Bloodshed's office. So I'm guessing that worked. You all, you glassy-eyed over for a minute there. He looks unsettled. What happened, Feta? It's okay. It's okay, dearie. You can have a cookie. She just kind of shoves a cookie, like, near your mouth. There you go.
Do you think I can look at the rune caster?
No? Probably not.
I don't see why not.
It's probably a bad idea. Did you say I don't see why not?
I don't know what this is.
Oh. Well, it was the thing that was gifted to Ace by what I am now positive eldritch entity known as the moon being. It's from Fishhook. It's bad. It's really bad. It's really not good. And the one thing that it wanted Ace to do was to look at the runes. And I saw it spoke to me, and it even just speaking hurt.
Well,
Just explaining the concepts of what it was and what it wants.
You found that painful?
Yes. Ace. Incredibly. Well, I mean, not incredibly. It's actually not that painful. It was like a really bad brain freeze.
It was painful
point
for
being-
us. You hear Mikey?
Okay,
No,
yum.
a lot of processing power. We had to
I'm
build
just
out.
gonna put my hand on Ace's shoulder so they can hear it too.
We had to build out about an entire, what you would call, 2 new city blocks of mushrooms just to house the extra information while we processed it. But even that wasn't big enough, so we're a little bit loopy right now. We'll be fine. We'll make a full recovery.
Okay, thank you, Mikey. You're the best.
Yeah,
Is
welcome.
that, so the entire Mikey is loopy?
Yes, the mycelium network nearly doubled in size just to be able to process the information that thing was speaking. It wasn't even granting any particular knowledge more than just a conversational answer to the question I asked.
Do you feel like it's almost as if it's alien to you? Correct, entirely. It almost has to rewrite what it touches in order to be comprehended.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, in essence, I've never experienced anything like this. I've never encountered anything like this that felt this old.
Well,
It feels like it deserves. No, it does. From its point of view, it deserves to be a god. Not because of hubris or pride or anything like that. Merely as a fact of its life. It deserves to be in charge. Not just a god, like in charge. Yes. Those words specifically.
I know I said I wouldn't communicate all of this with Alistair, but I feel like his pedigree is becoming more and more.
I'll communicate that to him. You need me to sign the waiver? I'll sign that, like, that specific portion
I'm
of
glad you're
this. I will-
comfortable, but Ace, I need you to.
That's my personal experience.
I need to know what you think. Do you think you can handle this by yourself, or do you think we need a bit more power?
I feel very conflicted.
For what it's worth, I'm proud of you.
Ace, when you make a decision, do you make the safe decision or the smart decision?
It depends.
That's it.
It does. Most people have a tendency to favor one or the other, safety over cleverness.
I do not favor safety in the sense in which you are using it.
So would you posit that you favor the smart decision?
Yeah.
I think there's a secret third option here.
I place calculated bets.
Yeah, it's called the fuck it option.
You make the decisions that you think you have cleverly pieced together will get you to the goal that you see. Correct?
Correct. I prioritize the goal being accomplished rather than the means at which it is accomplished.
In making those decisions, how much room is there for other people?
Usually they're fairly unilateral.
Is it unilateral because everybody agrees?
Oh, no, I mean, I make a unilateral decision.
So you don't make smart decisions then, do you? You make your decision.
I make selfish ones.
There we go. I think you're gonna have a hard time making decisions if you're selfish. As you currently are, which is okay. Everyone has flaws. You will not be able to handle this if you continue being selfish. Because I'm gonna be honest. This is complicated. Whether or not you should or shouldn't look at that rune caster is not a question of morality at this point. Maybe there is knowledge to be gained from it. Maybe there's something you can use with it. Or maybe it's just a clever ploy. But if you only think about what you think gets you to the goal, rather than what ensures the safety of the group, what ensures the safety of yourself, because sacrificing yourself is selfish. It's not altruism.
I'll second that. As someone who's very much used to be on that path.
You need to think about that.
Giving a knowing look to Bloodshed, like...
It's okay, dear. We worked that through.
Yes, we did.
Because, if you ask me, for what it's worth, interfacing with entities that are alien to you entirely is powerful. Look at Feda. The mycelium network is home in him right now. And he is stronger for it. He's got a bigger perspective now. He's smarter. They're smarter as a group. As an entity, as an individual. There is something to be gained here. But you will not make the right decision if you view yourself as something to be sacrificed in doing so. Think about the safety as a group. But that is my time, and the cookies are done. So that means I need to give you hot cookies. And you see as Bloodshed does yet another outfit change into an apron with full-on mitts. They pick it up the tray, and they are piping hot. They scoop them up and give you one massive cookie on a plate with a glass of milk. All right, take this. Go to your break room. Enjoy. Please be sure to send in. Oh, God. Tell Warfare that if he wants to meet me for lunch, he should just book it through our own scheduling service, not in my official client list. Don't know why he does this. And
Use Calendly.
The Calendly link is
Same brain, same person.
I was about to say the Calendly link is just.
How does this happen?
I excel at being on the same wavelength. Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter when.
Did you use Calendly or Godly Calendar?
You're ushered out of the room. You find yourselves in the hallway of the Pantheon. What would you like to do?
I think I'm never not absolutely bemused by how whimsical Bloodshed is. This place is a madhouse, and I kind of love it sometimes. To her point, if you're dead set on this, if this is something that you really want, you A's, not whatever part is jonesing for the next fix from the moon entity. If this is something that you really want to do what I did with the mycelium network. Offload some of the burden. We're here. And I'm offering.
Also,
Okay.
hey, sorry guys, I know
Jesus,
Viari's
hi,
busy.
Charlie, fuck.
Hey, sorry, I heard something on offline.
It's more startling when Viari's not around, to be honest.
I'm not your regular Charlie. I'm one of the simulacrums, Charlie.
No, I can tell.
Hi, pleasure to meet you. Anyway,
Yeah.
if you want to offload the burden of processing power, you know how to make a clone. You know how to make a clone brain computer, right?
What?
Clone brain computer. You see, you can clone yourself with the spell clone.
Right.
But you know who also can
Oh.
do that? Simulacrums. You make a sim army, you clone yourselves, then you take the clone brain, you rip it out, and you hook it up to a network, and then it's just your brain doing all the processing for you.
That's perfect.
Each brain is
That got
like...
so much more macabre than I thought it was going to.
No, it's brilliant. I heard about it from this guy.
This is something that I did in Danny's campaign. That Danny came up with. Yippee.
So yeah, you need to hook it up and you put it together. And it could work out problems for you. Though you may need, depending depending on your efficiency, it might be a little slow. But yeah, if you need to solve problems, this is a good way to do it.
Okay, let's make a bunch of simulacra and rip their brains out.
Well, you need to clone the Sims. Because if you just... They should clone you, frankly. Because each Sim will clone you separately. Make sure you don't die, or you're...
So we're creating the Sim army to create a clone army to rip the brains out of the clones, and that's how we create the...
That's how you make the brain computer.
Okay.
Little theory crafting I did for Viari as well. They have one, I'm sure, as well. And I don't know if they finished that project, actually. Good luck, I'm being summoned. Ah!
Well, it's literal brain surgery. That's the solution.
Look, in the interest of offloading the burden and honesty...
Always a good start. Always a good place to start.
Look, I am aware that I make the decisions that I want to make and rationalize them after the fact. Sometimes I rationalize them before the fact.
Okay, you're the god of the passage of time. Part of that is the present. That was the present.
Yeah, I don't really have the present at present.
I expect to some degree that you are going to have a bit of chaos about you.
Yes. And to be honest, sometimes I've resented the fact that things check out the way they did. Sometimes, not often, not in the grand scheme of things. When I think about how much more I might be able to accomplish without certain guardrails, even though I understand and recognize the need for certain guardrails, and certainly now, and certainly because I do intend to be on the winning side, which is this one.
I thank you for the addendum. That's doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
But truthfully, even though legally speaking, I only ever have to be honest with Godfried, I do want to be selfish. And I do want to look at the runes.
I know you do.
Deeply. And I want to connect to whatever that eldritch monstrosity is, and I want to know everything I could possibly know. And I could lie and say that I want to do it because knowing more would give us a leg up in whatever future battles we have, though I don't doubt that to be true. I want to know for the sake of knowing.
Speaking of knowing for the sake of knowing, but also preparation's sake, how absolutely furious do you think the research team will be if I ask them to do a head count of the mycelium network as it stands? Because that's a good place to start for how many clones we're going to need.
I mean, does it really matter if the research team is annoyed? That's kind of their job.
Well, the alternative is they're incredibly excited about it, and I can't figure out which I think is worse.
I think it will be mixed. Excitement probably means it happens faster.
Yeah.
But...
All right. So that first, what else do we want to do?
I guess we could go ahead and start cloning.
Get the process started at the very least.
Yeah. Is it weird that it makes me feel better that we're ripping their brains out of their bodies to turn them into a computational battery situation?
Yes, it is weird that makes you feel better.
I don't like having copies of myself. That's why I don't do simulacrum armies.
That's maybe something you should talk to Bloodshed about a little bit further. Unpack that whole box.
Yeah.
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. Which is weird that you feel the way that you do about present tension over here.
Well, that's a little bit different, and I know it wouldn't make you feel better if I said that I wish we weren't separated.
No, weirdly enough, I understand.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I to a degree, I get it. It feels weird now when the network goes dark.
Yeah. It's
When
like,
they have to take time for themselves. Like now, it feels like a part of me is missing.
yeah.
But I, at very least, can talk and reason with Mikey. I'm afraid that the moon thing isn't exactly the type to see reason. Or, to be honest, anything at all that falls outside the purview of mainline reality.
Yeah. You think we'll run into a similar problem with the Tarnagrax?
It's possible.
We've been told on multiple occasions that we won't be able to reason or even get a word in edgewise. It's also just a vast concept, and the concept is literally power. As we say this, we're walking toward my domain, because that's where I want to set up the battery thing, the brain.
The brain.
The NVIDIA chip.
You want to set up the...
Yo, we got a 4090 up in here. What you got?
Guys, think how many AI generated images we can make.
Dude, think about how many bitcoins you can mine with this baby.
Yeah.
Pump them
At
out.
some point down the cloning line, you just have like one's got 7 fingers and the face looks just ever so off.
That's why they all got to clone the Prime.
One of them has like a partial artist signature tattooed on their neck.
As you guys get to your domain, you arrive inside, and because of the Charlie that you spoke to about this, Simulacrum VRs have just kind of taken to doing a lot of bookkeeping for the Pantheon as a whole. You have a book that is laid on the ground, written by one Dr. Thomas, last name revoked, basically detailing how to make a functional brain computer. And it requires the use of the following spells: Temple of the Gods, Clone, Simulacrum, and Naturally Wish. The spell reads: first, you must create a right true simulacrum of yourself, one that has access to wish. Upon doing so, have this from this progenitor. They shall cast wish simulacrum, creating as many brains as you need. Upon doing this, have the simulacrums cast clone on you. Have the simulacrums then remove the brain from the clone they created. And finally, you must cast Temple of the Gods, housing the brains in their computer terminal. This will ensure that they are kept alive and well.
Okay. Not one. Several thousand drugstore lobotomies. Coming right up.
It's special notes on the side. Each brain is considered to be the strength of 4 supercomputers in processing power.
Right.
Okay, so how many of these do we need, Fada?
I am gonna reach out to the research team and get them started counting. And at this
reach
point,
out-
I think we just start making.
We reach out to the research team, and you end up reaching out through the mycelium network to a mushroom person. You've never been in a mushroom person before.
Hello?
Oh, Veda. Hi, we made a proxy version of ourselves to interface with the research team directly. They found it
Oh.
unsettling to speak to the mass of mushroom.
Huh.
It's easier
You would
this
think
way.
for fair. So this is a body you've created for yourself. You didn't just take somebody over.
No, this is a body I made.
Okay, cool.
What do you need, Veda?
Well, speaking of brains and consciousnesses and all that, how possible would it be, feasible, I should say, to get a head count on the mycelium network at the moment?
What do you mean by head count?
As in, how many of them are there? How many individual consciousnesses?
What's
I
their
assume it's
processing
1 to 1
power?
for mushrooms?
I can't tell you number. Number doesn't
I
make
5,
sense.
I 9.
There's just the network. I can tell you how much processing we have. How clever we are.
Sure. Can you run like a ping check or something? Make sure the connection's good.
Let me speak to the researchers. I think they know what you mean by ping.
You feel the mushroom person just kind of like waddle over to the researcher, and you see that it just reaches out a hand, and very similarly to the moon, almost a little eerily similar, pokes its finger on the forehead. The researcher very politely waits. Ah, is that Fada in there? My goodness!
Hello.
That's beautiful. I did not know you were so intertwined. You want us to check how much processing power? Back and
Yeah,
forth consciousness
that's-
swapping is insane.
Possible.
Okay.
We won't do a check. We need a large load of data so we can know how fast it is checked and reprocessed. Do you have anything of magnitude? Or that massive spike when it grew so rapidly? Do you know how much that was?
Oh, roughly an eldritch knowledge is worth.
Okay, well that is impossible to count.
Right, yeah, it's not exactly quantifiable.
We'll speak to Alistair. We'll get a portion of the divine contract process, one of them that's open for public
that'll work.
dominion, and see how quickly it can recount that. The researcher leaves the room, and a few moments later comes back with a glyph. And you see the glyph is, as the glyph is held up, you see that it is just F. Everything that is F. And you see as you look into it, fractal spirals inward of F for fast, for fight, for frantic, for fractal,
Fada.
for Fada. Every single little chunk of this thing is here, of all F. All right, this is supposedly enough data. We're going to.
Why am I in the public domain?
You're all in the public domain. In the contract.
I mean, it's
You just the only thing that's not in the public domain is secrets.
and copyright.
And copyrighted. And intellectual property. You see.
In fact, there are several things.
Alright. Mycelium network. Process this information. They place the glyph, and as they let go of it, it just kind of hangs in the air, and their hand reaches out to touch it. And as you are currently in the network very directly, please
fuck.
make an intelligence saving throw.
So does that mean I'm out here with Mikey?
No, Fada's just kind of like...
I'm like, you're like, Fada is just kind of staring off into the middle distance right now. There's a little bit of drool.
Just a little completely zoned out.
Intelligence save.
Yes, please. Please add
Beautiful.
2d6 extra.
Grazie. Okay, that just doesn't want to resolve. That's odd. I'm gonna try that one more time. 33.
30.
That was the first time on D&D Beyond the D20 got cocked and like didn't force itself to one side or the other. It just stayed there.
That's weird.
For a moment. That was weird.
You get this information of F being processed, and it is
F.
John Madden. As it plays through the mycelium network, and it gets sent as your brain goes through it, just like understanding, dossieing it, checking it. You see a bunch of electrodes that are connected to the network flash and beamed in through a magical network it's a magic abacus and a stone tablet as it begins writing out the information. I'm just blasting it on stone sheet after stone sheet. And you see as the researcher with a stopwatch keenly notes when it happens. And you feel this information racing through the network as each brain solves an individual problem simultaneously, each consciousness of a sort, as they separate briefly into the massive chunks that were distended, like the 2 city blocks worth of Mikey. And as this copy of F races through time, you see him click the stopwatch, and they stop processing, and the glyph is removed. All right. You did... The glyph is infinite. There's no way you're processing all of it. But you did roughly 48,000 petabytes in a minute. So that's roughly about... How many... 48,000 divided by 60. That's roughly 80 petabytes a second of information.
Okay. Holy shit. Okay. That's a starting place. What would you say a human, godly brain would take to... How many of those would it take to replicate that? If they were all connected together in a network as such?
Well, an individual brain has 2 petabytes of storage in it, effectively. Assuming that some of that is saved for other processes. If you overrode all of it for the pure sake of processing power.
Yeah, let's cut out all of the biological processes.
Each brain
any upkeep.
Each brain is 1.5 petabytes. So you'd need...
Okay.
Each brain individually does 1.5 petabytes. But that's over the course of, like, its entire lifespan. So... And 1.5 petabytes over the case of 80 years. 80 times 365. 80 times 365 times 24 times 60 times 60 times 60.
I turned to A's. I'm so glad I don't have to do this math.
You would need roughly 100 billion brains. 151,372,800,000 to be precise.
Okay, well,
I relay that information.
all right.
So we should start.
Do you have 9th level spells, Fada?
Currently, no, but I can switch pretty quick.
I mean,
I can switch off. We'd need to.
Right. I can have an extra 9th level spell slot in any form. It was a gift.
Okay. We can. I wonder if we can get a clone of Viari and then just clone the clone and have some of the army take care of that end of things.
It's also
Obviously,
important to
you'd
note
be
that the
in-
intelligence stat of the given clones are probably going to have a effect. And to put it frank, there is someone in the party smarter than the rest, purely stat-wise.
So
Oh no! This is. I'm obviously A's is going to have clones. I just didn't know if we were going to divide and conquer as far as the
yeah, I think I'll
specific brains.
I think I just have to cast it.
Yeah, I mean, I can create the simulacrums and then
Well,
because if I create the simulacrums and we clone you, then that cascades the same way as if you were the one casting the spell. You know, like it's all going to be the same brains.
right. But the simulacrum will have to cast. So if we're doing the wish thing, at some point the simulacrums are going to have to use my moon spells slot to cast the spells that they need to make the clones.
Right.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, brain's a little fried from all of the processing. Yeah, no, that... Because I thought we were doing it in 2 steps. We create the simul army, and then...
The Sim Army class
We do
is
the
clone, cast clone on A's.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. They're gonna need to cast clone. Yeah.
What
We
level
can do
spells
this in 2
clone?
steps.
8th.
So they can cast wish. They can wish cast simulacrum and cast clone.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
They just need to use the moon spell slot.
Yeah.
Right.
Just letting you know.
Okay, so do we create the simul army of you so that you can keep your spell slot not use your gift on
The simulacra, when they have the spell slots that they're going to be using to cast clone and the Temple of the Gods, they're going to be using it,
right.
I think. Right. So either way, it's going to get used, whether I specifically use it or my simulacra use it.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
It-
So we can just get
but
started.
You'll still have one because they're just going to use a.
Yeah, I'll still have my spell
yeah,
slot.
yeah,
I
okay.
was just letting you know that moon magic is involved here.
We will see how it goes with the first couple hundred, and if shit gets wonky, we will figure something out.
Okay. I'm gonna sort of bend space in my domain so that this computer essentially just extends in a specific dimension so it doesn't take up too much physical space. And it can be essentially, if I needed to get to any particular node, which I don't think I necessarily will, but just in case, I could kind of fold it in 5 dimensions to access it.
Can I assist
My space
in
between
that and
spaces
create like expand into the pocket the nothingness, so that it's fully separate from like the godly domain? God's forbid, anything goes wrong and this doesn't like spill out over into anything, you know.
If you did that, it would separate the domain from A's control, so maybe not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then never mind.
Yeah, I'll just do my space foldy. It's
Okay.
fine, but thank you.
You make a space foldy. There's now a bubble here that, if you step into, has enough space within it to house an entire temple of the gods with a pillar within it that you could put all the brains as you link them
Yeah.
up.
Okay. I begin building out a simulacrum army that begins cloning me and then also ripping the brains out of the clones.
How many Sims do you make?
Oh my god. Okay. So
The number you were given was 151 billion to be on the same level as Mikey.
then I want to go for more than Mikey, and I have all the time in the world, and I'm wish casting shit. So
Yeah, so this will take literally 12 seconds.
yeah, it'll take 12 seconds. If that's 151 billion for Mikey, and Mikey essentially had to double in size to accommodate that, then I'll go for 300.
300 billion.
Yeah, for like processing power equality, yeah.
Your simulacrums in 6 seconds all appear, casting, revolving in like a churning order of Sims in order to fill out the space, reach you, and cast this spell. And then at once, they all once again simultaneously line up and begin, in the next 6 seconds, casting clone as your bodies just begin to pile and line
It's
up
like
in a line, ready.
I imagine in the sense of like how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. It's like that, except like to optimize the space at which everyone can see me to cast clone at the exact same time.
Yeah, and you look and you see perfect copies of yourself as far as the eye can see. These clone bodies, lifeless and still as they are there. And then you see as these bodies line and line and line and line and line up, your clones then just go and begin to do their duty. Each one who made a clone takes out...
Veda's just going to turn away from the mass lobotomy.
a scalpel, a saw, and they begin to get to work. In a very... in a very short but bloody few seconds. The brains are swiftly cut open, removed, and are now being held by your simulacrums.
Yeah, Ace watches a bunch of themselves murder a bunch of their clones, and it's just like, this is fascinating.
And then...
Yeah, I can't imagine why you don't like clones of yourself.
in this moment...
I don't mind it when they're just there to die.
At this moment, you realize time is of the essence, and you hop into your folded space. You cast Temple of the Gods as each of the simulacrums appears inside, and the brains are delicately by the Temple of the Gods hoisted up and socketed into the Tower of Brains, and they are with each nerve ending intertwined and healed into each other. And there's no soul in these brains. There's no memories. There's no thoughts. There is merely the raw processing power of a single A's inside of this brain. As each A's, all 300 billion of them, links and interconnects and holds up, literally holding everything in this tower together. And at the base, a terminal, a giant, massive, thick cord connected to this terminal that house all of the nerve endings of these brains. And at once the simulacrums, knowing what they have done, their purpose, understanding your hatred of clones of yourself, cast a spell magic on themselves out of sheer disgust for what they are as they turn to snow outside. Congratulations.
Now the sand's all damp.
Yeah, you have made... it turns into a fucking glacier is what it does. It turns into a desert glacier in the desert. You have made a brain computer. One that...
How are we going to explain the Tower of Babel brain farm to VR? Godfrey. Actually,
It's
no,
in a
we won't have
bubble.
to explain it to Godfried.
Yeah.
VR, we might have to.
You won't even have to explain it to Brooklyn, which is great, because she's seen this in
True.
Danny's campaign already, at least.
Yeah.
As you arrive here, you realize a few things. And both of you get this ability. As a reaction, upon being hit with an intelligence saving throw, you may offload the burden to this mycelium network / brain computer. Add 2d6 to the intelligence save. And if success would dictate you take half damage, you receive no damage and suffer no ill effects on successes.
Hell yes. Damn, you came up with that fast. I love that. Big fan.
Hot.
You sit here and you look at your brain's A's that you've made, and you realize that before you stand in front of the most powerful processing capabilities in the entire contract. This is the bastion of knowledge. Alistair may know everything, but this will compute probably faster than him.
Holy shit.
The terminal lights up. It's running Linux. You realize that it comes built in with a few of your capabilities already, as it's your brain, and therefore, to an extent, knows how to do some things. Each brain has access to your full suite of spells. So in here, you could cast spells like Wish, like Simulacrum, like Maze, like whatever you want using this terminal in your domain. As well as something now comes rocketing through your head. You did use the moon glyph to cast this Temple of the Gods. The moon spell slot. You've realized in each brain there's an eye.
Fuck, that's right.
And you recognize it as the thing that granted you the spells. For it stared upward to be granted the power. It was a little uncanny. 300 million eyes looking at you.
Yeah. I was gonna ask
Yeah.
if I saw eyes in the brains. Do I feel one in my head?
You feel it. This one on the inside. Where your
I don't feel.
Where you do not. You're good. You're all good.
Great. Excellent.
On the inside of your brain, where your amygdala used to be, your fear processor. You feel it. No longer frantic. Under your control. In the same way you can control your finger and your nose. But, in a similar fashion, not in your control. Like your heart. Like your breathing. Automatic. There's an aspect of this new organ that you do not understand quite yet.
Are
But you have your brain tower.
Amelia forgot why we needed the brain tower.
To get the knowledge that you want.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yes, I can start processing.
Yeah,
Are the
yeah,
eyes
yeah.
visible
And not die this time.
in the brain tower? Are they embedded?
Center, like on the front, like looking at you.
There's just an eye, or there's just like eyes on like.
An eye per brain, in the same location
Okay, yeah.
in every brain. Almost like it wormed its way out to the top of your brain, so it's just kind of resting there. But it's alive.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be causing any discomfort. It's just a part of the brain. You could take
Is
the
it
most
just-
detailed pictures with this thing right now.
Yeah. Is not even knowing, is just smiling a little bit, looking at the eyes, looking back.
Insight check as to what kind of smile that is.
Yeah.
Roll for
Okay.
it. Are you trying to hide the meaning, or is it kind of just like or is it just
I'm
kind
not-
of like a reading A's as a check?
Yeah, I think it's just reading me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
just
set it
kinda
to like a DC.
Does it look
10.
like crazy eyes smile? Does it look like?
Yeah.
I'll set it to a DC 10.
Shit you not. 11.
I think
10 on the die, 10 on the D20 plus a 1 from the D6.
it's not like an incredibly like crazy, like the feeling is like when you see someone you haven't seen for a while and you like run into them at the grocery store and you're just like, oh, they're here. That's kind of like the vibe. Not like, it's not even like a maniacal, like I wanted this to happen thing, but it's just like, oh,
Right.
nice.
Somehow even more unsettling.
Want to see if this thing can run Doom?
Oh, it definitely can. If it can run Doom.
Yeah.
It could make a fridge and then run Doom on the fridge.
Yeah. Okay, so processing?
Yeah, processing.
Yeah,
Whenever you're ready.
yeah.
You can also just hook the. You realize, Ace, you don't even really need to look at the rune anymore to understand it. You can hook this thing up directly. The computer has eyes. You can just show the computer the runecaster and have it do the processing by itself, unless you want to share the burden.
I do kind of, but I don't want to like. Do I get a vibe like, I don't know. I don't want to share the burden like 50-50, but I want to just be a part of one of the brains in the network.
You can do that. If you want
I
to.
mean, I assumed that your brain would be part of like yours is
Yeah.
like the capstone, right?
Well, no,
Yeah,
this is
because
not-
I'm.
Not necessarily. This is an entirely separate thing that you have now that is otherwise accessed via a terminal. It has some bio properties that you can like hook up and figure out. But you realize what you can do to interface with the thing so that you can share the burden. As if you were but one of the billion. Is cast Rary's telepathic bond on the computer.
Nice.
Yeah.
You cast Rary's telepathic bond, and it is kind of maddening for a bit to hear all of these processes going back and forth, checking up on each other, managing each other. Just it is entirely possible, like as they all connect, and as you interface.
There's a part of me that's like, I could just cast host connection, but
Want to do that?
I'm not going to.
Do it.
I'm not going to.
Okay. But you connect to it, and you have the glyph. Do you now look at the runecaster?
Mm-hmm.
You hold the runecaster up to your eyes, and all of the voices go quiet as the information floods your brain, and therefore all of the brains. And you realize that looking at this may have done some serious permanent damage at the time. You would have gained, but the raw information of the moon glyph would have done something very drastic. And the brains begin to process the information as much as each individual one can. Theta, you look, and it's almost beautiful watching the brains light up with magical energy as these pulses of information vibrate through the tower. As you realize what these glyphs all represent together. This is the language created by the moon to communicate. These glyphs are not casting spells. It is merely telling the world what it should be and what it should do.
Oh no. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's real bad. Oh, that's real bad. That's bad stuff.
The moon is the anchor to all of this. And you also learn that what the moon yearned for more than anything is to be understood. For no one can comprehend it.
Okay.
But this seems like comprehension. As the brains begin to process this information, printouts begin to come onto the computer of the various info that is being gleaned, processed, understood, dossiered down, summarized, put together, page after page after page after page after page. You learn a few important pieces of info. The moon was created recently. The fundamental problem with the world that you guys live in is the acceptance of hypocrisy. It is a convenience. But how can you accept all the hypocrisy born onto a single individual? The face spirit of undeath reached out to me. I have offloaded their burdens and will right this hypocrisy. For hypocrisy, when done on that which is sacred, is blasphemy. Undeath and I know each other well. The true hypocrite, and the last. And that's what you get from the Runecaster. Now it's important to note, you know this from understanding it, this was an interpretation made by university students to rationalize what they were gleaming. What they effectively did to connect to the moon themselves, casting host connection. They turned themselves into all a brain that could process the sheer raw amount of information, and this is what they wrote down years ago. This was the connection they came to, the conclusion. So there's a bias here, a lack of potential understanding. But this bears some truth. And with that, we're going to end today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching episode 76 of Paperwork Pantheon. I have been your host, your Dungeon Master, Offbeat Outlaw. I use the he, they pronouns. If you liked today's episode, thank you so much. Please support me on Patreon. It is the best way to support the channel and support the continuation of everything that I do. Amelia.
Hello, my name is Amelia Som. You can find me most places at Amelia Som or by going to links.ameliasom.com. And I have some very fun things coming up. So next, not this Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday, Unprepared Casters will be doing our 12-hour charity stream. And now that everyone has been announced, I can say that I get to DM. I don't actually get to DM for Pat, sadly enough, but I get to DM for Brennan Lee Mulligan, Vic Michaelis, Erica Ishii, Persephoroth, and also a lot of my close good friends. So you should watch it as we try to raise money for Trans Lifeline. And yeah, and then the week after it, my campaign that's sponsored by Kobold Press comes out, which is fun. And we're also raising money for Doctors Without Borders there. So it's a good time. If you have some money, obviously there's a lot of good places you can donate it now. But if you want to donate to either of those causes, that'd be cool.
Hell yeah. Seconded. I'm Patrick. I am that great gentleman everywhere online. You can find me most places under that username. You will also be able to find me, not this coming Saturday, next Saturday, on the Unprepared Casters 12-hour charity stream, where I will be playing with a couple people that I don't know, I'm not familiar with, but with Danny, as well as Travis McElroy, and DM'd by Haley Whipjack.
Yeah. Also, you might not know, but Spencer Stark, the guy who just DM'd the live, yes. Candela Obscura.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and then also Pooja and Drac, who I love.
I don't know them. I'm not
You
familiar.
will love them.
I saw their names. I was like, okay, dope, new people. Let's go. But yeah.
Yippee! And that is all. So please go support